नमस्कार, जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेव टॉक्स। दिस इज आदि अजित। हमारे साथ हैं सौम्या अवस्थी जी। शी इज अ फेलो एट द ORF, एज यू कैन सी। इनके साथ एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सी मेरे को बात करनी है। शी इज रिटन अ कपल ऑफ आर्टिकल्स जहां पर इन्होंने दिखाया है कि भाई हाउ चाइनीज टेक्नोलॉजी वाज बीइंग यूज्ड बाय पाकिस्तानी टेररिस्ट। नाउ दिस इज नॉट न्यू, बट ये एक हमको थोड़ा सा वी हैव टू टेक दिस इनटू कंसिडरेशन। सो लेट मी जस्ट ओपन अप विद मैं इनसे पूछता हूँ कि भाई ओवरऑल हाउ डू यू सी द सिचुएशन एंड देन वील गेट इनटू स्पेसिफिक्स। How much has the Chinese tech infiltrated into these groups?
Okay. Thank you so much, Adi, for having me once again on your show. And काफ़ी interesting था last time का conversation भी, and it got us good feedback, I would say, because I was following what was being said on the YouTube chat box. This topic itself is also very interesting because so far we have been noticing only the, let's say, legal ways of how China or Chinese technology is being used by Pakistan. But during Pahalgam, a lot of things came out, which shows that there is more to it. And even if, let's say, China is not handing them over to the terrorist organizations, but it is in their hands, which itself says that there is a given influence that the Chinese have had on the terrorist organizations. तो अभी के दौर में अगर हम बात करें तो ऑफ कोर्स मतलब रिपोर्ट्स हैव नॉट क्लियरली मेंशन दैट दिस पर्टिकुलर टेक हैज बीन यूज्ड, बट जैसे उनके कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम्स होते हैं वो, या फिर YSMS एक टेक्नोलॉजी है या इंस्ट्रूमेंट है, इक्विपमेंट है, दैट हैज बीन यूज्ड बाय द चाइनीज, बाय द टेररिस्ट ड्यूरिंग द पहलगाम ऑल्सो. And otherwise also, whenever there have been killings or shootouts have happened in the Kashmir or valley per se, a lot of times there have been findings that are related to these equipments are related to the Chinese tech, because चाहे वो हम बात करें weapon की, एक कम्युनिकेशन इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स की, जैसे वॉकी टॉकी हो गया या फिर मोबाइल फोन्स हो गए, या फिर आप सिंपली जो हमारे ये लोग ग्रेनेड्स यूज करते हैं, इसके बारे में अगर आप पढ़ें तो ये सारी चीजें कई बारी पता चला है कि चाइनीज ओरिजिन है. तो ये है ओवरऑल नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स यूजिंग ऑफ चाइनीज इक्विपमेंट्स. बट अगर हम स्पेसिफिकली बात करें कि पाकिस्तान कितना यूज करता है, तो ऑफ कोर्स देयर इज नो एंड टू द डिस्कशन, बिकॉज वी नो इन टुडेज टाइम पाकिस्तान की जो मिलिट्री है वो हेविली डिपेंडेंट ऑन कपल ऑफ कंट्रीज है, जिसमें चाइना अपेरेंटली नंबर 1 पे आएगा. क्योंकि चाइना का जैसे सब बोलते हैं कि इट इज यूजिंग पाकिस्तान एज अ लैब, तो वहां पे वो अपने सारे टेस्ट करता रहता है. तो चाइना हैज इन इट्स ओन रिपोर्ट्स हैज सेड दैट दे स्पेंड अप्रोक्सीमेटली 458.5 या $6 billion annually on R&D of these equipments. And then उनकी एक और कहीं रिपोर्ट आई थी जिसमें पता चला कि जो 300 प्लस ड्रोन इन्फिल्ट्रेशंस जो हुए थे अलोंग द LOC, चाहे कश्मीर हो, पंजाब हो, राजस्थान हो, इन दैट नॉर्दर्न बेल्ट, दे वर ऑल लिंक्ड टू द चाइनीज कंपनी. So there has been infiltration of the Chinese equipments into our country through illegal means, and Pakistan has been found to be involved in it.
जी, जो एक when you kind of look at this entire paradigm, आप देख रहे हो कि recent जो एक attack हुआ था, attack मतलब the recent killing of the Pahalgam terrorists, that was also done because they opened up their satellite phones, which were Huawei.
Yes.
वो public
Yeah.
में भी report हुआ था. The security forces had reported that. Now, when you see this as जिस तरह से ये आगे जा रहा है, how much control do you think even the Chinese have over this stuff? क्योंकि इन लोगों ने पहले इनको दे रखा होगा, पाकिस्तानी आर्मी को दे रखा होगा. They've given it forward. How much control
Yes.
does China have over it?
See, China is very much aware, and of course, they can't control it till they दे वांट टू कंट्रोल इट. अगर उनकी विल होगी इस चीज को कंट्रोल करने की, तो डेफिनेटली देयर कैन बी agreements under which they have terms and conditions of its uses. And in cases of the technology being found in the hands of non-state actors, वो agreements को cancel कर सकते हैं. ऐसा क्लॉज डालना कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है एक बड़ी कंट्री चाइना जैसे है. बट उनकी विल कितनी है वो हमें एविडेंट है कि दे आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड कि वेयर देयर प्रोडक्ट्स आर गोइंग, एज लॉन्ग एज इट इज बीइंग यूज्ड बाय देयर पार्टनर्स एंड allies एंड फ्रेंड्स. उनको मतलब उनके वो नहीं है, उनको इश्यूज नहीं है. रही बात कंट्रोल itself, I think it's not in anybody's control. The only way it can be controlled is that if Pakistan stops using terrorism as a tool vis-a-vis India. So control बस वही है. और बाकी तो we all know the history and present that Pakistan has been supplying these equipments, चाहे वो बड़े guns हो, not just these equipments which are small in size, but also providing them other kind of logistical support. Pakistan has been giving that support. So the control is not in the hand of Chinese probably, but the control is in the hands of the Pakistan Army and ISI for sure.
वो तो that is very clear
Hmm.
that that is the case. But when you see continuity, ठीक है, and upgrade, that will be the next step ना, जो इनको चाहिए होगा कि भाई अभी if India is able to track out their movements and pretty much hit them because of the same phones, so now they will be looking for an upgrade. So how do you think China takes that forward?
जैसे हम किसी कंट्री में जब कोई भी प्रोडक्ट, इक्विपमेंट, टेक्नोलॉजी को सेल करते हैं तो उसका अपग्रेडेशंस भी हम प्रोवाइड करते हैं. दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ द एनुअल मेंटेनेंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. एएमसी होता है इन सब इक्विपमेंट्स का. तो अगर चाइना उनको इनिशियली दे रही है, लेट्स से we don't talk about terrorism for a second and say that China has simply done a deal or business with Pakistan, and under that they have also promised that whenever there is an upgradation which happens in China, that service or upgradation will be provided timely with to the Pakistan government, or say the users in Pakistan. So it is simple that the whole chain is there and there is only one extra user added to it. तो अगर अपग्रेडेशन पाकिस्तान में आ रहा है तो ऑटोमेटिकली वो टेररिस्ट ग्रुप्स के पास भी जा रहा है. अब रही बात कि कई बारी जो आप मोबाइल फोन्स यूज करते हैं उसमें ऑटोमेटिकली सर्विसेज होती. फॉर एग्जांपल आवर आईफोन्स, दे ऑलवेज गिव अस द लेटेस्ट वर्जन, वी हैव टू जस्ट अपग्रेड इट. तो सिमिलरली देर आर technological gaps, you can say, or advantages that the terrorist organization takes is of upgrading them on their own. एंड जितनी भी कम्युनिकेशन टावर्स हैं, अगर हम स्पेसिफिकली बात करें सिर्फ इन टर्म्स ऑफ टेली कम्युनिकेशन, इन दैट केस it has been found that lot of communication towers, telecom towers are laid along the LOC in POK. That also runs on the Chinese network. And that is why it becomes difficult for the Indian security agencies to counter the electronic warfare, you can say, because आपके bandwidth पे वो रन ही नहीं कर रहा है, वो पाकिस्तान के bandwidth पे रन कर रहा है या चाइना के bandwidth पे. तो आप उसको कैसे कंट्रोल करोगे? इसीलिए they are able to constantly improve their tactics and strategies because they are being supported logistically and are not dependent on the Indian communication towers or telecom towers. For example, पाकिस्तान में 11,000 और मे बी नॉट 11,000, सॉरी 1,10,000 किलोमीटर की OFC केबल पाकिस्तान ने बिछाई है along the Rawalpindi Khunjra route, तो which is providing the Chinese communication link, which is a more secure format. तो इस तरह की काफ़ी सारे डेवलपमेंट्स हुए हैं जिसकी वजह से it is becoming difficult for any agency to counter it, and at the same time easy for the adversaries to rely on their own allies for gray zone, or uh, you can say something which is in not easy to counter for India.
The most important thing आपने इसके बारे में हिंट भी करा है कि पाकिस्तानी एलओसी के ऊपर चाइना ने काफी करा है, एंड आई हैव शोन दोस things on the channel जितना Google Earth में दिखता है, right from the Kunjrai Pass right down to Gwadar. I've shown the satellite relay stations, I've shown the
Yeah.
OFC centers and this and that they've made. So we have basically a challenge as far as infiltration. ठीक है जी,
Yes.
and digital infiltration की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, I'm not talking about the physical one. So ये जो digital infiltration that we see by these Chinese this thing, how deep do you think this network is within India?
इट इज डीप, क्योंकि आप मतलब, एंड ऑल्सो विद constant spending on the R&D, China is able to come up with these cheap technologies which is available off the shelf in any kind of market. तो अगर आपको आप अगर लोन वूल फैक्टर भी हो, तो इट इज़ नॉट डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू टू एक्सेस एनी टेक्नोलॉजी, बिकॉज चाइना ने उसको बहुत ही चीप कॉस्ट पे बना करके एक्सेसिबल बना दिया है फॉर द यूजर्स इन द मार्केट. अब उसकी वजह से क्या है कि हमारी कंट्री में भी कई कंपनीज हैं जो उनके ऊपर डिपेंड कर रही हैं. हम चाहे जो भी बात कर लें कि मेक इन चाइना, मेड इन चाइना को हमें बैन करना है, बट दे हैव गॉट डीप रूट्स इनसाइड आवर कंट्री ऑल्सो, एंड दैट इज वाई सेइंग कि हम इसको एक झटके में साफ कर देंगे या फिर इट इज नॉट देयर, इट इज लिविंग इन फैलेसी कि चाइना का एक्सेस or roots inside India is not there. It is vast, and especially in the conflict zones, it becomes more evident and prominent during the conflict also.
Yeah. One thing that we saw is basically the cognitive domain.
Yeah, cognitive domain also, and then there are like I said कि जो dual use technology है वो उनके cost effective होती है, इसीलिए वो जो pressure है वो मतलब they don't have to be covertly doing it, they can do it overtly as well and escalate the usability. तो ये भी एक reason है कि वो they are able to enter into the Indian space. Then again, the discussion on disinformation is there, जो कि हमें मतलब काफी एविडेंट हुआ ड्यूरिंग दी ऑफ सिंदूर कि चाइना एंड Pakistan collusively were influencing or carrying out propaganda campaigns against India. So that is also one of the aspects we saw, which highlighted the collusivity as well as Chinese involvement into India-Pakistan conflict. And China is not really only supporting Pakistan. That was also seen because China has their own agenda vis-a-vis India. सो उनको एक और अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल गई इसको इन्हांस्ड वे में कैरी आउट करने की. तो एक मेरा आर्टिकल है जिसमें मैंने इसके ऊपर काफ़ी डिस्कशन भी किया है दैट अप्रोक्सीमेटली लास्ट ईयर अप्रोक्सीमेटली 12,000 फेक न्यूज़ आर्टिकल्स चाइना ने पब्लिश किए विच वर रिलेटेड टू इंडिया, कश्मीर, चाहे वो ईस्टर्न बॉर्डर की बात हो या नॉर्थ ईस्ट बॉर्डर की बात हो या फिर कश्मीर वैली की बात हो, तो उन्होंने अप्रोक्सीमेटली 12,000 फेक न्यूज़ कैरी आउट करी थी. सिमिलरली उन्होंने 3,500 डीप फेक्स भी यूज़ किए जिसमें वीडियोस, इमेजेस, हर तरीके की चीज़ें हैं जो कि उन्होंने रिलीज करी. बट एट द सेम टाइम दे वर also helping Pakistan release certain kind of similar kind of news, fake news articles and deep fakes, which again runs into 8,000 and 5,000 respectively. So China does have deep root inside India independently also and via Pakistan as well.
That is there. So how have you done any study on Operation Sindoor, जहाँ पर there is some data that you can share with us?
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के टाइम में ऑफ कोर्स मैंने एक आर्टिकल लिखा है, आई कैन शेयर दैट विद द रीडर्स, बट उससे ज़्यादा over a period of time I was reading and writing quite a bit on the Chinese using of technology to spoof. So basically हमारे जो aircrafts उड़ते हैं along the border, so how they were using hybrid warfare to say not directly attack but also carry out uh, some kind of low capacity uh, attacks, या मतलब मुझे alternate word उसका भी इस वक्त याद नहीं आ रहा, बट तो the way they are doing it is through GPS spoofing. तो उसके बारे में मैंने काफी लिखा है, which was pre-op Sindoor of course, and it explains that how along the border they are able to control the communication between the aircraft and the ATCs, and also use of drones in dropping off the weapons and drugs and fake counterfeit currencies and all that. So these are some of the ways I had found out the Chinese involvement, particularly with regard to ऑप सिंदूर। जो टेक्नोलॉजी के ऊपर मैंने एक पेपर लिखा है, बट इट डजंट हाईलाइट सो मच, क्योंकि हमारी खुद की जो इन्वेस्टिगेटिव रिपोर्ट्स हैं उनमें उतना क्लियरली निकल के नहीं आया, and they said that it was limited to using of only Huawei satellite phones and the Chinese manufactured GPS devices, body cameras बहुत सारे यूज किए गए, अल्ट्रा सेट्स यूज हुए। एक गार्मिन ब्रांड है जिसका जीपीएस डिवाइस यूज किया गया ड्यूरिंग द ऑपरेशन, एंड of course we all know about the defense equipments which were part of the whole op Sindoor, which was used by the Pakistani army, like Chinese aircraft, और काफ़ी सारी असॉल्ट राइफल्स भी यूज़ हुई हैं इन दी विच आर चाइनीज़ ओरिजिन इन कश्मीर। तो फॉर एग्जांपल जब कुपवाड़ा, हंदवाड़ा और बांदीपुरा में ऑपरेशंस हुए, काउंटर टेररिज्म ऑपरेशंस हुए, तो उस टाइम पे बहुत सारे ऐसे इक्विपमेंट्स गवर्नमेंट हमारी इंडियन आर्मी को और सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज को हाथ लगे जो कि हैड चाइनीज ओरिजिन. So I have discussed that, but interesting part of uh, whole this thing was not just limited to these burner phones or SIM cards and applications that they were using. There was a list which was provided which said that approximately 25 kinds of applications, apps were used or are used by the Pakistan-sponsored non-state actors in Kashmir. So no more they are depending on Telegram, Signal, and WhatsApp. There are many more applications that are Chinese origin, and they are using those for easy communication, which cannot be infiltrated by the security agencies or the military intelligence apparatus. UAVs काफी सारे यूज है, Loom 2 and CH-4A, ये दो UAVs हैं जो कि चाइना के हैं, are found in the inventory of Pakistan. तो इस तरीके के बहुत सारी है. So that article in fact has the list of equipments that over a period of time the Pakistani proxies and Pakistani army has been using against India in POK, and also crossing the POK and coming towards India.
When we see this sort of a setup, that means these guys have created an infrastructure which is close to the POK region and the infiltration routes, जहाँ पर terrorists को in technologies का access है, and they're able to kind of bring it out. आपने ये जो data share करा है with regards to fake news articles and all that is very interesting. Where do you think the next level of threat which will go? क्योंकि the next levels of communication in terms of quantum and this and that, how do you think that unfolds in this entire game? So what is the future of this collaboration?
Of course, it will only go uphill. There is no way that this collusivity will be limited in its nature. हमने अभी post op सिंदूर भी देखा that China has been heavily involved in providing them with equipments, aircrafts, and also guns and ammunitions, all sort of things. In fact, कहीं OSINT में मैंने देखा था that post op सिंदूर, which is May 10th, से लेके around 10th of July तक, the number of aircrafts that have landed, the military aircrafts that have landed in Pakistan, were not related to a simple movement between the armies, but also these aircrafts were carrying lots of Chinese equipments. And apart from the Chinese, there are also many more countries which are actually part of this whole um, uh, transaction between Pakistan and their respective country. So ये एक वेबसाइट है और radar 24 flight 24 radar
Mm-hmm.
जिसके you need to be a full paid member to get access to that. But OSINT पे कहीं पे मैंने ये देखा था कि how so many aircrafts are landing at the moment in Pakistan, which are actually full of arms and ammunitions and other kinds of tech-based equipments. So there will definitely be increase in this coordination between Pakistan and China, and they are not looking at short-term goals. They are definitely going to expand and have long-term plans, because every time you listen to any army general, whether it be the recent one or the previous ones going back as Ayub Khan or General Ziaul time, or even before that, for everybody, Kashmir remains an unsettled business. So they are definitely behind India by tooth and nail कि हम कश्मीर का मुद्दा resolve करेंगे. And of course, this is not limited, and like many reports, many well analyzed articles talk about this, and it is proven it's not just a propaganda or a narrative that is being built. But when they say that whenever India is rising, their economy is doing well, there will always be these kinds of hurdles which China will keep cropping up. Either it is on the Ladakh sector, in the Ladakh sector, or in the Kashmir Valley, so that there is a engagement uh, which is constantly maintained between India and the armed forces of Pakistan. That is one. And secondly, there is also this thought behind the activities of the Chinese, that we uh, we want to be the regional power and replace India as a global South leader, which is acknowledged by many countries around the globe in recent past. So these are some of the reasons that the Chinese are deeply engaged with the Pakistan vis-a-vis India. And of course, the historical narratives which is built even in China can be seen through books like Kanti Bajpayee's book, or even Sham Saran's book, that why China has been talking so much about Indian borders and Tibet or Ladakh region or Arunachal Pradesh or Sikkim region, because that's how the narrative is built for the future. And these wars just becomes one of the anecdotes or the arguments to substantiate their narrative, that why China is engaged, because China is fighting for its territory, or Pakistan is fighting for its territory with India, because these territories belong to the respective countries. So these kind of reasons are there at the very, which may sound very basic, but then that is actually the root cause of all these issues.
Hmm. It's a complex dynamic, as what we would say it. In closing, what steps do you think we should be taking?
Uh, with regard to, I mean, with Pakistan
Countering
and
this.
China,
Yeah.
see, you can't say that there are these ABCD that you can do. of course, we need to have a more improved situational awareness with regard to space and signal intelligence to begin with, because now more and more wars are based out of without crossing borders. You are fighting. Even Pahalgam showed that there was no exchange of, there was no physical conventional war that was fought between the two armies, and it was more based on the space, signal, or air force. So there was air defense dependency and electronic warfare that we were facing. So of course, India has to prioritize and improve its situational awareness vis-a-vis space and signal int, and strategically stock up for their counter electronic warfare, improve their defense, air defense capabilities, and we can't entirely depend only on one S-400. We need to have more likes of S-400, which can preempt and counter the attacks. Other than that, of course, we can't match up to the capabilities of China, because Chinese society runs differently. We in India have a different system where we are not just focusing only on defense preparedness or in building up the inventory to the extremes, but our focus, our attention is also on the socio-economic development of our country. So, given that, of course, we cannot spend enough on the R&D, but it's high time that this thought develops or sinks into the administration of the government, that we need to be little more forthcoming towards R&D, invest in it. More than investing, it has been also found that during the assessments, it was found that although government is spending a lot of money on the startups, and these startups are giving good results and developing amazing technologies which can be equally good compared to Pakistan or Chinese equipments, but where we lack is that we are not, or the government is not giving them ample orders, and that is why we are still depending on the foreign equipments, and whether it is coming from Europe or US or other countries, but there is dependency that still exists. For example, on the drone technology, also, so many startup companies in India have developed drones, but where do we stop? Because we are not giving them orders, we are not relying on our own talent. That is one key highlighted point time and again by many thinkers and strategists post Sindoor also. That is where we need to maybe do better. There has to be a more coordinated multilateral export control diplomacy that we need to follow, because what is happening, that when it comes to exporting, these startups are able to export their prototypes outside and they are being ordered, but हम अपने घर में अपना talent नहीं रोक रहे. That is the bottom line. कि we need to do a little more on that front. Um, and it's not that India is not capable. We have a lot of talent in our country, but we are not using them in a right way and right direction. That needs to change. Of course, there are more laws that can be written and all of that. That's boring part I don't want to discuss also, because we know that there is a scope of improvement in our law system with regard to export control, import control, and all of that. But we need to learn a little more from how the Europeans and the Americans are using technologies to counter terrorism. I have written one paper on that also, that what are the new enhanced AI technologies which we can use to counter these threats. So we need to use AI to our advantage rather than disadvantage. हमारी limitations जो है उनको हमें break करना. We have to break the barrier and also the inhibition that हम AI use कर रहे हैं. It is okay. AI से आप पीछा नहीं छुड़ा सकते. It has to be just a little more ethical, and you have to exploit AI rather than AI exploiting you. So there is an interesting semantic or sentiment analysis tool which is used by certain agencies like Interpol, CIA, which actually helps them to read what kind of pattern is being followed by a
Yeah.
terrorist organization to carry out an attack. And then based on that, they can predict when is the next attack likely to happen and in what nature. So we
Yeah.
need to encourage these kinds of technologies and also give access to such data, because we are very clingy about our data. We don't want to discuss or share the data with our startups to help them. So this kind of ease has to come into our country, where we are able to trust a little more our own people,
Mm.
rather than giving all the data to an American university to read about, to analyze the terrorist attacks in India and then buy it from them. So that thing has to stop, I feel.
Hmm. Interesting. I think that is a very very well said recommendation, and I hope it does happen. Thank you so much. Ji. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Uh, this is a subject that we kind of need to look into very carefully. So thank you for bringing it out. And my request to everybody: please like the video, subscribe, and share this with your friends and families. And we will keep you updated and keep supporting the channel. Till then, namaskar.